What's going on, guys? This is Foresight Capital, and today I wanted to give a quick update on Palantir's price action for the day, talk about a new contract that they signed, and then shed some light on where I think that the stock price could ultimately end up over the next couple of years, because that's the biggest question that's asked in the comments and in my emails almost every day. All that I ask is that if this video brings you value, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing because it really helps this channel grow. So today we saw Palantir close up a bit over 2% to $28.69 per share, and then trade up a bit more in aftermarket hours to $28.76 per share. This was a very strong technical day that was aided by signing a new contract, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But in yesterday's video, I actually talked about needing to see $27.70 per share hold as a base for Palantir. It had been recent resistance for the past couple of weeks, and we recently broke above it with news of a couple new contracts that have come through the pipeline. And then when we had a bit of a pullback, we started using $27.70 as support. This means that we're building up a base for that to be the low of future swings in this stock price, but we needed to see it continue to trade above $27.70 for at least a couple of trading days. Now, we were aided a bit today by the new contract that was signed, but ultimately we ended up trading the entire day above $27.70 per share and consolidating right around this $28.78 per share level, which is the 61.8% retracement level on the Fibonacci sequence that we've drawn. So overall, we're setting up very well to have the 50-period moving average curl up, the 200-period moving average curl up, and have the $27.70 per share level all sitting right around the same area to give us three levels of support for this stock and really allow us to build up a baseline if we need a consolidation period before bulls come in and push the stock higher. So we can feel very confident now that $27.70 could be the bottom of any future swings. We absolutely could see a break below, and if we do, I think we're going to see some support around $26 per share, but I'm really looking for $27.70 to be the bottom side of any new upcoming swings in the stock price. So where do I think it's going from here? Well, the very next level of resistance that we really are going to have is this 78.6% retracement level of the Fibonacci sequence drawn from all-time highs of $33.50 down to about the $21.15 per share range, which is where we saw the start of this new trend that we've been on for the past 3 weeks or so. So we saw a little bit of resistance there previously, and this is the next big level that I think we really need to push up towards and ultimately break through. That's $30.85 per share. Depending on how quickly we get there, we've also got the bottom side of this longer term support line that we have been trading along since about the end of October, and both of those are going to be the next two big pricing levels. But no matter what, we're going to have to see a breakthrough $30.85 before we have to worry about the bottom side of this trend. Once we've successfully broken both of those, ideally, we start using this $30.85 per share range as the base for the next push up towards all-time highs. Although if bears or bulls really get behind this thing, I could realistically see us pushing all the way up to $33.50 and not really needing to consolidate at any point around $30.85. Of course, that's yet to be seen because it seems like bulls get tired pretty easily these days within the stock. But it's very nice to see that we're setting up a base around $27.70, and if we can continue to hold that, I think that we'll have a very strong ability to push up in price. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the contract that they signed. Palantir signed a $31.5 million 2-year contract with the United Kingdom government to help allocate healthcare and resources in emerging hotspots where the current disease is flaring up. Now, this is not a very big dollar value deal, and in fact, over 2 years, it's really only about $16 million a year, so it's only about 1 to 1.5% of next year's projected revenue for Palantir. But the big news here is that they're continually inking deals with new clients. Now, as investors, and as Palantir actually has even said, we really want to see them diversify their revenue streams outside of government contracts. Of course, they want to continually grab as many government contracts as they can, but they're really focused on, and as investors, we should be really focused on how much revenue can they grow from outside contracts. Now, because they're diversifying across multiple governments, it's at least better than having all of their revenue allocated specifically with the United States government contracts. So it's good to see that they're participating in contracts with the UK government as well as the Greek government, but we really want to see them pitch to commercial clients. And I think that's what we're going to see at the live event on January 26th, just before Q4 earnings and the lockup period ends, is a pitch geared more towards commercial clients to bring on revenue from streams that they're currently not getting a very large portion of their revenue from. That leads me into the next point. I saw an article that I thought was very interesting, and it was basically just a Jim Cramer quote saying that Palantir is not the next Tesla because in the end, Palantir does secret stuff and we're never really going to know what they do. And I believe that a lot, and I've kind of mentioned this in the comments because I've seen people mention that Palantir is the next Tesla and very high growth, and I think that Palantir does have the potential to grow exponentially, and obviously big data is needed in almost every company out there, but they're not flashy and they never will have the ability to be flashy. If you think about where they're deriving most of their revenue from, it's from governments now, and governments aren't going to share their products and the solutions that Palantir has created for them for whatever issues they're having just for people to see. And Palantir is never going to be able to have a hyped up event like Tesla's able to create with their car releases, with their battery day. They just won't ever be able to showcase their products in a way that can really keep the hype machine going and continuously drive up price. That means that Palantir is really going to have to be data-driven. It's going to have revenue growth, profit margin growth. It's going to have to turn a profit here in the coming quarters, which they did this quarter if you exclude their direct public offering costs. But all these things are really going to have to be quantifiable because they're never going to be able to have the hype machine that companies like Tesla can have. And that brings me to my next point of what is a realistic price target then for Palantir? Will it ever get to the $800 or $900 per share that Tesla is or will be here shortly if they keep up with the run that they've been on? And the answer is probably no. I see a lot of people mention in the comments that they have a price target for Palantir of $1,000 or $750, and I wanted to bring some reality to that because Palantir is currently a $54 billion company, and they're trading at $28.69 per share. If we go ahead and just assume that they are going to trade at $250 per share, that would give them a total market cap of $473 billion. Now I've pulled up here the largest companies in the American stock exchanges, and we can see here that Apple is currently on top with $2.2 trillion, which is insane, but there's a pretty big drop off after you get outside the top 5 or 10 companies. $473 billion would actually value them at more than Walmart and slightly less than Visa, putting them at 13th place if they had that market cap currently. Now, predictably, each of these companies' market caps is going to continue to grow, as does Palantir's, so it's not a direct comparison, but just wanted to shed some light on this. And then I've also seen a lot of comparisons to Snowflake, which is traded around $400 per share. If Palantir were $400 per share, then they would have a $757 billion market cap, which would put them just behind Facebook's current market cap and in 6th place overall for most valuable companies in the world. So I don't think that we can really achieve those levels. Now, it's yet to be seen what levels of growth Palantir can create, what levels of revenue they can create, how profitable they can become. There's a lot of things that are big question marks. But seeing as how they've been a company for 17 years and they haven't yet reached the levels of profitability, though it seems that they're getting there fast and it seems that they're scaling their sales fast, and I know the argument is that they haven't had a sales team to target the type of companies that they want to target to get into. All of those things can lead to a very valuable company, but it's very hard to imagine them getting to a $757 billion valuation and being the 6th most valuable company in the world, at least until we start to see some very substantial revenue growth and maybe Tesla-like growth. But we just haven't seen that yet. So, I think it's really hard to peg Palantir at much above $100 or $150 per share. If we start talking about $100 per share in a $200 billion company, that makes it a sizable company, but definitely not really within the top 30 companies. In fact, most of the Dow Jones companies are trading under $300 billion or $250 billion. So I think that we could see Palantir possibly in that level, but we really need to see what level of revenue that they can grow to and profitability and see how traders ultimately react to that, because I just don't think it's reasonable to see those $250, $400, $1,000 price targets. I think a more realistic expectation would be possibly $100 or $150, and we still have to see how things pan out over the next couple of quarters and couple of years. I don't think we're going there tomorrow, and I just don't think that we can reach $400 or $500 per share. But I'm curious to see your reasoning for your valuation for Palantir. So leave that in the comments below, what you think Palantir's stock price will be in 5 years, and ultimately what companies they'll be in front of in terms of market cap. So I really hope that this video brought you value, and if it did, again, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Thanks for watching till the end, and I'll catch you in the next one.